Jacqueline and I have a very interesting story about how we actually opened up and decided to own Homestead Senior Care. And it really goes back to in 2003, I started working for Homestead Senior Care in Roanoke, Virginia, and in Lynchburg, Virginia. And we had just moved to Lynchburg, and I was frantically trying to find a job. Jacqueline, who the year before had graduated from Baylor with her master's in social work, got a job in Lynchburg, and so we moved from Texas, where she was in school, and we found that the first place that offered her a job was in Lynchburg. And so Jacqueline was working with children with mental illnesses and helping them recover and talk about their specific issues. And so I would go out and about all day in Lynchburg, and I would pass out my resume and to random places, insurance companies, retail stores, restaurants, all kinds of different places, in hopes that I could someone would give me a chance and offer me a job to do whatever. And I had no luck, and so a friend of ours saw Jacqueline at a women's conference, and I'll let Jacqueline kind of share a little bit about that conversation with that friend.
Well, we bumped into each other at this conference, and I said, "Oh, you have to come back. We haven't seen each other in a few years." And so I said, "Come back to our apartment, and you can see JL and Jack, that is, and get to hang out a little bit." So she came back to our apartment, and we just started talking about how he had been looking for a job and just kind of dead ends, and nothing was really coming up. He was doing a little bit of temp work, but it just wasn't coming together. And so she actually said at that point there was an opening at where she worked, Homestead Senior Care in Roanoke, and that they had another office in Lynchburg. And so they were really trying to find somebody that could manage that office and kind of help it get off the ground and, do some, just be in the office primarily. And that's really what Jack was looking for. And so, So she said, I want to handle this delicately, as any friend that's going to give a resume somewhere. So she did, and she gave them his resume, and then I think, did you follow up with a phone call?
Yeah, she actually came to our house, and Jacqueline warned me ahead of time they were driving to the house and to have my resume ready. So I quickly printed out my resume. She came, and then she gave the resume, and I didn't hear anything back, and so I followed up with a phone call, and I said, "Hi, my name's Jack St. Clair. My friend Jenny handed you our resume, and I'm interested in employment." And the owner of the company said, "Well, we don't have, too many men to actually work in our office. We do serve a lot of female seniors and don't quite know if it would be a good match." And I said, "Well, here's the deal." I said, "If you will just give me an hour of your time and let me come interview with you and your husband," I said, "I will prove you wrong, and I will prove that you definitely should hire me." And so the next day I drove to Roanoke from Lynchburg and had an interview. And it was a great interview, and they immediately offered me a job. And so at that point, I started working at the Homestead Senior Care in Lynchburg, Virginia.
And they actually asked if I would be willing to do some caregiving shifts because they guarantee services just like we do. And, knowing that his chances if, mail was presented might be declined, like would I be willing to go, short notice and things like that. And of course I was fine with that. So I got to do some caregiving shifts early on and sort of got introduced to, caregiving and Homestead and, but anyway, I'll let you.
So I started working in that office, and it was a brand new office location, and it was very slow. There wasn't a whole lot of calls, and my job was not to go out and drum up business. It really was primarily to stay in the office, answer the phone. If anybody walks in, tell them about our company. And so I did that for about a year, and it started to pick up. And I was asked to come help out at the Roanoke, Virginia office to help get things organized. And so for a week, I was in Roanoke helping out with different things, and I quickly realized that I wanted to be in more of a fast-paced environment. And so I asked the owners, who own both of them, if they would allow me just to continue to work in Roanoke. And to me,
just like an hour commute.
An hour commute, and to me, the hour was totally worth it. And so for the next 2 years, I was in the Roanoke office and did a variety of duties, from staff coordinating, matching up our caregivers with our clients, to doing recruitment, to doing orientations, a little bit of everything. And so during that time, Jacqueline and I were asking ourselves, where do we feel like the Lord wants us in life? And we both knew that we wanted to do something together eventually. I've always wanted to own my own business, but with Jacqueline having the social work background, I knew that it would have to be some kind of business that would help others. And so it was just kind of ironic that I was already working for Home Instead.
Well, and I will say during the time that Jack worked for Home Instead, I started to learn about the people and the culture of Home Instead and how much they care. And I was working for this other agency, public mental health, and we were just working so hard. And I think sometimes in the social work world, we get wrapped up and a certain population needs help. And really, by seeing what he was doing, it doesn't matter how much or little money you have, people still have needs. And, I was learning how much they give back. I was so impressed. They were doing this Be a Santa to a Senior program where they were giving gifts to seniors in need and, just constantly, giving back into the community and also to all their clients that they served. And, just completely amazed by what they were doing. And so it really resonated with my values and what I appreciated. And so I really liked, the company and what I saw with what he was doing. And so it wasn't hard, or it wasn't as hard when Jack, started thinking, well, maybe, his entrepreneurial spirit, that he would maybe like to do something like this. So one of your coworkers kind of approached you, and Chris and Betsy Head their office, they've actually referred lots and lots of people, and they encourage people to open, Home Insteads. But your coworker was about to go out and do this, and so she kind of, took Jack to lunch and said, hey, I think you would be really good at doing this as well. So
I went to lunch with her, and when she told me her process of opening up her franchise, I said, well, I really don't think I can do this. And she said, well, if I can do it, you can definitely do it. And at the time I was 23, I had no property of any kind or anything of value, because I knew that I would need $100,000 to open up the franchise. And so we said, well, how are we going to make this happen? So we went ahead and in May of 2006 started the application process of sending them all the preliminary paperwork for them to even decide excuse me, if they would be interested in pursuing us as a candidate to open up a franchise. And so we sent our paperwork, and it was a very lengthy process, probably about 30 to 40 pages. There were also questions, like essay questions that we had to fill out.
We had to do like a phone personality
test, and all kinds of different tools to see if we'd be a good match. And so then the question was, well, how are we going to come up with this $100,000 that we need to actually open up this franchise?
And where?
It was kind of beyond us how that would ever even happen. And so we started praying about it, and we still felt like the Lord was calling us to open up this franchise, but we just didn't know where the money and the resources would come from. And so one day I opened up the mail, and back then that's when you received dozens of credit card offers, and sitting there was a dozen credit card offers, and I said, well, I wonder if I just actually opened up multiple credit cards and pull out in cash as much as possible. And so between that and a home equity loan, I was able to get the $100,000 at 30% interest. And so
we don't recommend you do this.
Right, we don't recommend. And so that takes us to moving up here in October of 2006. Jacqueline was still working a second job as a professor at Liberty University, and so her semester was well underway, and so she could not move up with me immediately. So we moved up here, and I said to myself, what am I doing? I just moved from Southern Virginia to one of the most congested areas of the country, and I know nobody. And one person, and I have $100,000 worth of debt, and I have no job technically. I have no way to make any kind of money. And And so,
But knowing you, I knew that you would make it happen between you and the Lord.
Right.
I knew that if anybody can make a business work, Jack St. Clair could do it. So.
thank you. So we opened up in October of 2006, and it was very difficult at first because it's kind of like the chicken before the egg. You want to hire caregivers, but you have no work for them. And so you really have to gain their trust when you say to them, I will have work for you. I don't know when, but just trust me, I will have work for you. And so we opened and we hired our first 10 caregivers within about the first 3 weeks. And our 4th week, I got a phone call from a gentleman. His name is John. And he said, I need services. I was given your brochure by someone. And so I went out and immediately met with him and told him a little bit about our company. And he was very impressed with the company, and he immediately signed up. And so signed up, and that first match with his caregiver was amazing. Her name was Pat. And Mr. John, as I like to call him, his deceased wife's name was Pat, and his caregiver that we assigned happened to be Pat also. And it was a really good match, and they just had a lot of fun together. They went on day trips together down to Culpeper, and then kind of from there we continued to get other clients, and our company grew, and that took us into December of the same year, and that's when Jacqueline moved up, and she actually started working at Quantico.
And from Quantico, I was there just a short time because the business was sort of demanding, and so I really was only there a little bit, and I sort of came in the office and started interviewing caregivers, doing orientation, helping with the hiring, and at that time caregivers used to call in their hours to the office, so we get to talk to caregivers really frequently, and kind of starting to do special events and things like that. And so really just diving right in and just starting to, do a little bit of everything. And so we realized really quickly what each other's strong suits were, working together. And I stayed at the front of the office, he stayed at the back. Unless we had meetings and things like that. But just really, we would work sometimes from sunup to sundown and bring our dogs to the office, and we were just doing whatever we could to make it work, and so I don't know.
Well, so I could go into lots of different stories between 2007 and now, but
We have 2 kids.
I think the main thing is that the company has continued to grow. We've continued to hire outstanding caregivers who have done an amazing job with providing quality care. And in the midst of all that, we had our 2 children, Jonathan and Mariana. And we, just like we tell our office staff, we're a family-friendly company, and sometimes they come into the office with us. And I think for us, Home Instead is a way for us to make a difference. We realize that there are now nearly 2,000 seniors in Prince William and Fauquier and a portion of Fairfax County that have been able to live a life that they wouldn't have been able to live before. Whether that's in their home or whether that's in a nursing home or the hospital, we know that we've been able to provide caregivers that have not only been a relief for the senior, but also their grown daughter or their grown son or their grandchildren, to allow their family members to actually be family members and allow the daughter to come in, be the daughter, and not have to run errands for mom, and just sit with mom and talk to mom and maybe look over a scrapbook or pictures with mom. And when we first opened the business, I always thought that we would continue to do it because of the difference that we were making in the lives of seniors, and we still do that. But I think now the reason I come in every day and the reason it's meaningful is that we have 200 and some caregivers who have employment, and they have a reliable paycheck twice a month that they can pay their bills with. And
I think what's also exciting about that is they come in wanting to make a difference every day, and then being able to find and match them with a senior who's looking for help or just assistance maybe, or just even the most basic of things, but just to have that little bit of relief, and that is, those matches, that person wanting and desiring purpose and meaning in a employment, but also being able to make money doing something, and then that family, that senior, that veteran, whoever might be receiving the care, it's just amazing. It's just such a neat process on the cycle. And we've had family members who have then become caregivers after their loved one passed away because of how meaningful the relationships have been. And personally, I think a year after our home instead opened, my grandmother in Roanoke needed care, and so she had a really awesome caregiver named Pearl who would come twice a week and sit and have coffee with her, and we really had to convince my grandmother that she needed help with her laundry, and a little bit of assistance with meals and things like that. And so she accepted that. She was very nervous the first couple times, she held my sister's hand during the whole process, and then my dad would frequently come and be there helping with groceries and things like that. So our family got really used to Pearl, and we really loved Pearl, and she was a special lady that helped our family before my grandmother passed. And then most recently, right before we opened our business, my dad was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and so it has progressed, and he's in end stages of Parkinson's disease. And about a year ago, he came to stay with us, and things had really started to spiral downward for him. And so myself with a 6-month-old baby, and at that time, and Jonathan was 2. I just wasn't able to meet all the demands as many of our families are caught in. We've got children that need help, and then your loved one needs help. And so, of course, we knew where to turn, called the office, and, we worked with our staff to help my dad get care as well while he was with us. So, so we have been recipients of care. We know what it's like to be on the receiving end, and then when he went back to Roanoke, he also received home instead. And actually, while he was at UVA getting care, he received some home instead. So I joked with him that he was making a tour of all the home insteads in Virginia. But what's neat is he also helped us open the office. When in the first week, he helped put together furniture and things like that before the disease got really bad for him. But we know how personal this is, and how important it is just to know that your loved one is safe and taken care of, especially when they're so compromised with these debilitating illnesses that even the loved ones are trying to get used to how to respond to them, because we knew them when they were well, and then you've got this illness that's taken over, and so it's just amazing how caregivers can come in and just provide that relief, and just you can work with them. So we've experienced a lot in that regard, but even now it's even more meaningful that we get those people in the right places.
I think the future for our particular franchise is very bright, in that the country in general is facing an age wave like no other. Every day 12,000 people turn the age of 65, and those people will eventually be in need of services. And they also are a generation that is used to being pampered, and they're used to paying people for services. And so and then for our adult daughters and sons who are looking for a company, it makes sense to use Home Instead. We have quality caregivers. We have a proven track record. Our reputation speaks for itself. And for people that are just out there looking for part-time work, it's amazing how you have someone that will come in to apply with us, and they also apply at Target or Walmart, and they realize that this is something that truly they can do and know that they're making a difference. They can go home every day knowing that they made a senior smile, that they were able to get a senior food that was needed, take them to a doctor's appointment, and that they were able to help out a grown adult daughter or son by not having to do that, and allowing that adult daughter or son to actually be a son or daughter. And so I think all that combined really excites us about what the future holds for Home Instead, and really makes us pleased with the fact that there's so many more people that we'll be able to serve.
When I think just wanting to change the face of aging, that's something that Home Instead Senior Care really, you know, I guess worldwide aims to do, and quality of care, to treat people with dignity and respect. And for people, just because you are compromised by an illness, or maybe you can't move as quickly as you could before, that you're treated as somebody that matters and valued, and that we care, that you're here. And so oftentimes I think our seniors, when something starts to fail, or they they're put in this place where maybe their sons and daughters are telling them, you have to get help, you start to feel that loss of independence. But we don't want them, they're no less of a person because somebody else is assisting them. And so oftentimes we tell them it's just a personal assistant, but, and just really wanting them to feel, empowered and stimulated, and, that these are all positive things, and just how they can even give back to the caregiver, with their stories. And our caregivers are constantly telling us how much they've learned about Mrs. Smith, or their different experiences, and just what a joy it is to be with these people and realize what a blessing each day is, and just how fulfilling it is. And so it's just really neat to be able to offer that on both ends. And we feel like our caregivers are the heartbeat of our work, and they're the eyes and the ears and the hands and the feet that are delivering these services. And so we strive for all of them. Our goal is that everybody be treated, with dignity and respect. And again, I tell them, without you guys, this work wouldn't be done. And so that they're an integral piece of the puzzle. And so, and they just have amazing stories. And they do work that sometimes nobody else wants to do. And sometimes they're, good stories, are hard with certain clients, but they're willing to do it and keep at it, because they know that person, without them, being there, would be alone. And some of our seniors are alone. I mean, we do have a lot surrounded by families, but, we do have a decent percentage that don't have anybody. And so if nobody goes, we don't know how that meal's going to be prepared for them, or, different things, or if they're going to get a bath this week, or different things like that. And so it's just so important, they realize the value that they add to that person's life.
My name's Ann Kennard. I've worked at Home Instead for almost 5 years. Been a nurse for 35 years, and so in doing so, I worked in the military system for many years, having run OB clinics, pediatric clinics, child care centers. And I think I always tend to gravitate toward people that really don't have a voice, like children and seniors. And I think seniors are a very underserved population. So when I saw there was an opening in this organization, I was just delighted that I was to be hired in it. I get so much more out of our clients than I'm sure I give to them. The stories, they talk about the greatest generation. We have it right here in Manassas. We go and we learn their stories, and we learn, by knowing their stories, you can almost know how to care for that client, and to match the perfect person with that client that will appreciate that individual and care for them like their own. So that's mostly my journey, is to try to visit with our people, get to know our clients, write their plans of care, and ensure that the care delivered is what they truly deserve. We have one gentleman. When I walked into his residence, he was so cute. He had flannel BDU pants and a plaid top on. And I knew he had served in the military. I didn't know his story, so I said, "Oh, you guys can't wear anything besides a uniform." I was teasing him. And when we got talking, this gentleman, he had Parkinson's, so that's why we were there to care for him and assist him. But learning his history, he was always very particular about eating at a certain time. And when I got talking to this gentleman, I found out that in World War II, he was in the Air Force. He got shot down over a turnip field in Germany, was held under the SS for 4 years. So obviously I know why his meals are very important, because he probably starved. And he rose to the rank of a major general, a very unassuming, lovely man. I always, whenever I pass Arlington, I always blow a kiss, because he unfortunately has passed away, but he really was just a wonderful shining light in my experience working here. I want to welcome you to Home Instead Senior Care.
My name's Anne Marie Ciavarella, and I've been with Home Instead going on 4 years now. Well, initially I chose to work here because I had been a stay-at-home mom for about 20 some odd years. I was just looking for something that would allow me flexibility and, to get outside the home a little bit and start bringing in some income for the family. So the flexibility, and also I just from a young age just really did seem to have an affinity for elderly people, and I knew it was something I would be good at just because of my nature, and I just thought it was a perfect match for me. Well, what I've learned about being a caregiver since being here is that it takes a lot of patience, definitely, and there are some real practical skills that come in handy as well. And I also learned a lot about Alzheimer's and the things that are helpful in those for that as well. Definitely patience, trustworthy, absolutely a loving heart. To a new caregiver, my one piece of advice would be communication. If there are any issues going on with your client, to just talk with the office. We're so more than willing to help you through anything because we want to make it a really good experience for you. There is one story that does stick out in my mind that I've heard, and I actually use it a lot in my interviews when I talk to people I'm interviewing, and that is a caregiver was having a very difficult time getting the client to take a shower, and the family member really wanted that client to have a shower that day. So she knew that this client had been former military, so she pretended to be his commanding officer, and he responded to that and went right into the shower. Well, I have a passion to serve senior citizens because I do feel like children, they just really deserve our special attention and our love and our care. I am passionate about being helpful, kind, and loving to people. I want to welcome you to Home Instead Senior Care.
My name is Kathy Wallace, and I've been with Home Instead Senior Care for 7 months. Well, I've been working in this area for 26 years, with seniors for about 26 years, and they stopped hiring, and a friend from social services referred me here, and it's just a wonderful place to work concerning the seniors. It really is. It's just, they care, for the seniors, and I feel the staff, my employers and the staff, they're very wonderful people, and I just really, I've learned so much since I've been working here, how to take care of the seniors. What I've learned, I really have learned so much to be dependable and to be honest, and it's just working with the seniors. It's really they need us, and I've learned that helping them is just an absolute blessing. I really feel that they should have that they should be friendly and be honest and truthful, and of course be dependable. Caregiving is a noble and it's rewarding, and it's a frustrating job, but if we tackle it together, each of us, will be able, to handle, the challenges and the responsibilities. Oh, that was a few years ago. Her name is Mrs. Mary Wilborn. She's passed away now, but I did work for her for about 3 years, I think, and she had Alzheimer's, and of course she didn't recognize, anybody, her family or anybody, but I did notice whenever I would walk in a room, I could tell the way she would react that she knew I was there. And after her bath in the morning and her breakfast, we would talk. I would talk to her, and then she would love to sing. And every morning she would sing This Little Light of Mine, and she would sing it so beautifully. And her family was really amazed because she never really, communicated with them. I love them, number one. I love them very, very much. And they pay their debt to society. They really have. And I think that they should be treated with the utmost respect, because they really do. They have paid their, debt to society. And they need us. They just need for us to, to be there for them, to help them. And then another thing I appreciate about the job is that they're able to stay in their own home. That is an absolute blessing, with familiar surroundings, and it makes them more independent. Sometimes they'll tell a story over and over again, but you just act like you never heard it, you act like you heard it for the first time. And I'm just really concerned, about their welfare. I just like to help them. Yes, we get along very well. I've never ever had a confrontation with any of my clients, and I've been working for years and years, and they depend on you. They're glad to see you when you come in, and just letting them know how much you care, how much you love them, hugging them, and it's really been a blessing. And I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoy it. I want to welcome you to Home Instead Senior Care.
My name is Daisha Wasenbeck, and I've been on Home Instead for about 2 months now. I'm going to school right now to be a medical assistant, and the job I'm looking for when I get in is to work with the elderly. And so I basically wanted to get a foot into the door, basically. Basically, you want to treat the people you meet as if you want to be treated. And Home Instead also taught me that patience is really the key of everything. And also just being there for somebody to just listen to you, to talk to you, really helps them get through some things. So it just showed me that you don't have to do too much for people. Just something little would be great for them. Compassion, patience, and positive attitude. When you come to somebody's house, you don't want to look negative. You want to come in there and bring some kind of light to them, because they may go through some things right now, or they are going through some things. And if you bring a positive attitude, they feel better. And being compassionate, the elderly, they don't want you to treat them as being pity. So showing that you understand, but you're there to help them do anything they need help with is, I think, would be good characteristics for a caregiver. Learn as much as you can. Ask questions. Learning will help you a lot, because everybody's different, and you want to be able to be ready to handle whatever circumstances come to you. The client I worked with, his wife just passed away a couple months ago, so he was really quiet, and he had these pictures on the wall from basically when they first met till basically now. And I had asked him, how did they meet? And then he said it was just, he made it seem like it was love at first sight. And it was just really touching just to hear something like that, where I'm young, but it's like, just hearing that from somebody else is really cool. It started off with my grandma. My grandma has Alzheimer's. And just to see her like that, it was really sad. But then, I I gained it throughout the years that I want to not only help my grandma, but help other people's grandma or grandpas, mothers and stuff. It's something that you feel and you grow to get. I'm passionate about helping people and just being there for people. It's really always been that type to drop everything I'm doing just to help somebody else, and that's why I want to go into basically their nursing side field, because nurses are important, and I want to be that person that makes somebody happy. If they're coming there with pain, leave happy. I want to welcome you to Home Instead Senior Care.
My name is Eva Avant, and I came on board here at Home Instead in October of 2011. Well, you might say Home Instead found me. My background is administrative assistant in corporate America for some 20 years. And my company went through a downsizing back in 2009. Of which I was affected, and I proceeded to look for work in my field on an ongoing basis for about 2 years. And then a neighbor of mine was Homestead and worked for Home Instead out of the Reston office, which is a few miles from here, and she brought them to my attention, and I proceeded to find one that was closest to my home in Centerville, which was here in Manassas, and here I am. Oh, it's just, I'm lost for words, really. I mean, each day is just so vast. It's just so revealing from day to day what it means to really be a caregiver. There's such a rewarding effects to it. You go thinking with the first mindset that, I'm going to help someone. And before the day is over, in one reason or another, they've helped you. Coming from corporate America, it's just like you do the job and you get it done type of thing. But with caregiving, even though it may not be verbally spoken, there's always a pleasantness over the face when you've genuinely helped someone. They may not speak it verbally, but their countenance reflect how much it has meant to them that you were caring and that you were there for that moment, whatever it was, whether it was a pleasant moment or an unpleasant moment. But to see that you're there to help them through whatever it is they're going through is such a reward. A caregiver must have, in my opinion, they must have compassion, first of all, and a genuine compassion. I mean, whether you're being observed or not observed, there's a certain integrity that must be in the heart of a caregiver. You have to be willing to be there. And you have to be willing to go above and aboard what you have been asked to do to make sure that your client is safe, that they're comfortable, that their needs are being met. And when I do these things, I leave there, whether I've done something that was not required of me to do or not. I feel that I have done a service, that's worth more than dollars and cents. First of all, be punctual. Always wear a smile. And to just be yourself. And just go with the mindset, prepped with prayer, that whatever I'm going to do, let it be a help in some way or the other for my client. Well, one that sticks out with me is I have a couple that I've been there to serve over several months, and The husband he's declining somewhat, and he likes to sleep in the mornings, which is quite all right. And the missus is up, she's, the morning one, she's up and chipper, and she'll say, oh, go get him up out of that bed. He's been in bed since 9 o'clock last night. It's time for him to be up. So I'll peep around the corner, and he'll have the covers way up here. And then I'll go, hello. And then he'll go, oh, horse feathers. So that's my little wake-up call for him in the mornings. I tell you, senior citizens, in my opinion, is a diverse group that we as people have been able to gain such a wealth of knowledge, really, that has been a foundation for humanity. And this is just a way I see of me giving back something to them that they have given to us. I can't imagine where we would have been had we not been able to draw on the resources of their knowledge and their wisdom that they've imparted to us down through the years. I'm passionate about life. I look forward to each day and what it has to offer, and I'm grateful that I have that time, because when I look at all the things that are happening in the world and how quickly things come about, I think I've come to value life, and I'm just very passionate about it, and living it to its fullest. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you to Home Instead Senior Care.
My name is Gail Earhart, and I've been with Home Instead just about 3 years. Well, I became a caregiver for my father unexpectedly, and I cared for him for 6 years. And I thought, I'm pretty good at this. So I happened to see it on Craigslist one day, and I said, I'm gonna go work there. And that's what I did. That you have to have a lot of compassion, you have to have patience, and even if you think you're not going to get attached, you're going to get attached, and you're going to fall in love, as I did with every one of my clients. Caregivers need to be, I think most important is to be yourself. You need to be kind, loving, show compassion, show empathy, and be able to delve into their world, because every situation is different, so you have to have flexibility also. I would tell a new caregiver to not expect what you or think you're going to expect. Everything, it's so different. You can read what you want on a piece of paper, but it's always different when you go into the home. And just share your heart, open up your heart with that client. I had one client who I had for 9 months. He had Alzheimer's, and he was in his late stages, and he was just a great guy, but he liked to go on little outings, so his wife would say, you guys can go do whatever. So one day I took him to the park. I thought, this will be neat. We'll walk around this little lake and we'll feed the ducks. So now mind you, he would shuffle his feet, so I wasn't thinking, and it usually takes 15 minutes to go around this lake. It took us almost 2 hours. And we fed the ducks, and we got to the very end, and we had 2 bags of bread, and we got to the very end, and there was this big sign that said, "Don't feed the ducks." And we're like, ah! We weren't supposed to feed the ducks, so we ran to the trash can real quick and threw it away. And then we got back to his house, and I said, "Al, tell Rita what we did all day today." And he said, "We went and ate donuts." And I said, "Yep, we went and ate donuts," because I just went, you just go with the flow. And he was such a wonderful man. Because Home Instead is here to serve, and that's what I feel. We are here to serve our clients and to give, if we can give any of these clients just a little bit of ourselves and a little bit of joy, then then I'm fulfilled, and I think we fulfill the needs for our clients. I want to welcome you to Home Instead Senior Care.
My name's Jeannie Carroll. I've been with Home Instead for a little over 6 years. I chose to work here because I was looking for a part-time job that worked around my mother's hours, and I wanted to do something that I enjoyed. Working with seniors was something I'd done in the past. I worked in a nursing home. I really enjoyed working with seniors there, and so I saw the ad and I thought, well, I'll give them a call. That looks like something I'd really like to do. I've always had a natural affection for seniors, but I've learned, that aging is not for sissies, and it's not easy. And by the time they are seeking help with Home Instead, they've needed help for a long time. And we're just there to help them stay at home and live out the rest of their lives with some sort of purpose and joy. People need a purpose. Even though they get older, they still need to feel a purpose in life, and I liked helping them do that. I think caregivers should have empathy and patience. Clients basically have their way. It's not always your way, and you need to have, I guess, conformity. Maybe that's not the right word, but you need to be able to acclimate yourself well in different surroundings, and you have to have a sense of humor, and you just have to be strong, I think, because it's not always easy being a caregiver. And then you have to realize that you can ask for help and people will be there to help you. Here in this office, we have an open door policy. Caregivers know they can come talk to us anytime when they're feeling stressed. Say, just love what you do and you'll never work a day. What sticks with me is a client that I served. And I had been doing caregiving with Home Instead for a couple of years at this point. But this one lady, even though she was very nice, very pleasant, she was a real challenge for me to help her because I couldn't seem to break the ice with her. She was a widow, been a widow for about 1.5 years. She was very depressed, laying in bed, very hard to even get her out of bed, very hard to motivate her to do anything. And I just, I began to feel frustrated with myself. I couldn't reach her no matter what I did. I kept in touch with the office, but then I started talking to her family, particularly her granddaughter, her college-age granddaughter, who was very much a caregiver for her grandmother too. And I said, what did she used to do? I can't reach her. She's depressed. And she said, well, she really misses my grandfather. And every day they used to go out to breakfast. And he'd read the paper and they'd socialize, and she doesn't have that anymore. I think that she really, really misses the activities that they did. So one morning I went in to the client's bedroom, came in the morning, she was under the covers, didn't want to get up, and I said, how about we go to breakfast? And she literally put the covers down and said, breakfast? I said, yeah. Where will we go to breakfast? I said, how about IHOP? She goes, okay. She got out of bed, took a shower, and we went to IHOP. Just to speed it up, after a couple of weeks we go to IHOP once or twice a week, she couldn't wait to get out of bed. I had her doing all kinds of activities. Now I couldn't be her husband, but I tried to just do some of the things that she did with him that made her feel like she had a purpose again or some joy in life again. And she and I were really good together. It was a really good match, and I miss her a lot. Because I definitely am passionate about seniors and working with them. This is just another way to do it. It's more of the working in the process, more so than the actual, in there providing the service. And any way I can help them is a benefit to me. I want to welcome you to Home Instead Senior Care.
My name is Jonathan Nassif, and I've been with Home Instead for 2.5 years. I wanted to help out seniors. I have a great passion for helping out others. I was a youth soccer coach for a couple years, and I just wanted to continue that path. I've learned that the disease doesn't make the person, that the person is just an individual who so happens to have a disease, whether it be dementia, Alzheimer's, anything like that. They still have their own personality. They need to be passionate for one. They need to be caring, understanding, and very patient. Always be on your toes. So you never know what's going to happen next. 1 minute they can be sitting down, next minute they can be going somewhere else. And you need to be on top of your game at all times. We have the oldest client in Loudoun County. He's 105 years old. He'll be 106 in August, and I had the privilege of working with him on his birthday. And so we got a cake, candles, balloons, and just see his face light up was priceless. It's probably one of my most favorite memories of all time. I really enjoy helping others. I'm a caring person. I helped my grandfather while he was in the hospital, and they've served the community for so long, and it's just time that they earned and deserve the same in return. I am passionate about helping others first and foremost. I was born with a disability myself, and so I know what it's like to need aid from other people, and I am just glad that I can return the favor. I want to welcome you to Home Instead Senior Care.
My name is Linda Kirsten Alex Watson, and I've been with Home Instead for 5 years. Well, when I started, I was pretty much at a crossroads, and the description when I was looking online pretty much described something that I had been doing before, and so I thought it would be a really good fit, and with my time and with my background, and so here I am. I've learned how to be humble, because everyone is going to age, and everyone is going to need someone, to help them somewhere along the way, and it's just very humbling, and it's very satisfying to know that what you're doing is helping someone else, be safe and to be comfortable, to be a companion to, and just to help, just to be there on their particular journey. Well, first you need to love senior citizens, and I think you need to be comfortable around them, and just be willing to listen to their stories that they're gonna tell you, without having to be asked, and just to be patient, to be yourself, and just be willing to listen, and just to be there in the moment with them. Relax. It's gonna be okay, because that first caregiver visit you're like, whoa, and it's not necessary. Everybody has their jitters, but it's going to be okay. Just relax and just be there in the moment and enjoy it for what it is. He was actually my first client that I had when I started here, and I only saw him on Sundays. That's when I was available at the time, and I was just to, be a companion, sit with him through breakfast, and if he wanted to go to church, then I would ride with him on the shuttle bus over to the church and back and walk his dog, and that was pretty much it. It was a short shift. So being that we were going to church, one day I decided I'll just wear my church clothes. And so I had on a very nice blouse, a skirt, and my heels, because I figured, he went to church last Sunday, he's going to go to church this Sunday. So I'm dressed, to do business, going to church. And so I walk in, and he's sitting at the table with these other two little buddies, and they're so funny to watch. But anyway, he turns around and he sees me coming in so loud. He says, "Well, would you look at my little brown sugar? Just look at her walk." And I was so embarrassed. I could just feel my face getting totally hot. And so I was like, I felt myself going like this. I was like, "Oh God, please help me get over to the table. Help me get to the table." And so I sit down and I say, "Hi, good morning, Mr. So-and-so. How are you today?" And he's like, would you just look at her? Just look how good my brown sugar's looking." And so one of the other guys that was sitting across from me, I was sitting between him, he leans over to me and he puts his hand on my knee and he said, "Could you stick your finger in my coffee and make it extra sweet with your brown sugar?" So I was like, "Oh, this has gone too far." So I said, "No, Mr. So-and-so, but I'll go get you some sugar." And so like the other ladies, there's another table of ladies sitting at the table, and they would look over and they would just roll their eyes and, "Oh, that is inappropriate." And I was like already feeling this small anyways, but I just suck it up, and I sat there and I did whatever he wanted me to do and stuff. So that is my embarrassing and human story. But he was really a sweet man. Well, it started when I was younger. My mother took care of my grandmother and my grand aunt, and she moved them into our home, and so I shared my bedroom with my grandmother until she passed, and my mom took care of her. And then about a year later, my grand aunt moved in, but she was in the other room, and I just, it just seemed natural to help my mom, help my grandma, who I love, so much, and we would go and, visit her on the weekends, or, they had a farm, so we would be on the farm during the summer. And so it just seemed like a natural way for me to show my Grammy, I love you and I'm willing to, take care of you. So it just seemed like a very natural outflowing of love. I'm passionate about my kids, my family, whatever I'm into at the time. That's I'm passionate about. I like to work with the underdog. With my education background, I'm always for the underdog he can rise up and be victorious. So always there for the little person, and just life and my family, and whatever my career is and where it's going. I want to welcome you to Home Instead Senior Care.
Hi, my name is Linda Zembauer, and I've been working for Home Instead Senior Care for 3.5 years. I was looking for a job where I could help people, and I was looking for flexible hours, and I just wanted to try something new. I have learned that it is a very challenging job, yet very rewarding. You need to be flexible, you need to be upbeat, positive, very understanding, and I'd like to say try to help them achieve their goals, whatever they may be. Treat your client as you would want to be treated, with patience, compassion, and a little bit of love. My very first client I worked with was, when I started working at Home Instead Senior Care, was a 96-year-old lady named Ms. Betty. And she called me her Sunday girl. So every Sunday for 2 years I took care of her. We had our Sunday routine where I would paint her fingernails, we would eat breakfast, watch Meet the Press, and I did this for 2 years every Sunday. There was a Sunday where I was helping her clean out her house, and we ran across some old love letters that her husband, who had died 50 years earlier, had written to her. So these love letters were so important to her, and I felt just honored that she chose me to read the love letters to her. So every Sunday we continued to read the same love letters and until she died. So it just, it let me be part of her life, and it was so moving to me to be able to do that for her. I like brightening up seniors' days. I find them to be very interesting people. It is very important for me as a caregiver to help a senior who wants to be able to stay in their home. I am passionate about just making seniors' lives better, and helping them have be able to stay in their home if they choose to. I want to welcome you to Home Instead Senior Care.
I'm Mary Ann Lash, and I've been with Home Instead for almost 5 years. Well, initially I saw a brochure at our local hospital, which was a very attractive brochure, and I looked at the characteristics of a caregiver inside and the opportunities for service that a caregiver would perform, and it seemed like an interesting match to me. And then my husband looked up Home Instead Senior Care online and saw that the local office was looking for employees. So it seemed like a match from the beginning. Well, one thing that I've learned as a caregiver is that the clients are just like us. They want to be loved, they want to be accepted, they want to be respected, they even want to be enjoyed. And this has been a pleasant surprise for me to realize that I have an opportunity to treat them the way I would like to be treated. I feel a caregiver needs utmost to be compassionate. There are many opportunities where the clients are just not themselves, or they've changed and they're not who they used to be, and they need someone who will empathize with them, relate to them in a personal way, love them and treat them with dignity. And I find that compassion is the ultimate quality that I would want to see in a caregiver, and that I've learned and grown as I've become a caregiver. One piece of advice I'd give to a new caregiver is to be themselves, to use whatever God-given talents and creativity they have to be who they are with their client, and also to allow the clients to be themselves, to allow them to present themselves where they are today. They may be different tomorrow, they may be different than they were yesterday, but to enjoy them and allow them and accept them to be who they are right in this moment, to live in the moment. Recently, I have a wonderful client who's 88 years old. She's petite and beautiful on the inside and on the outside, and she has dementia. And for 4 weeks in a row, she was asking me if I knew that she was Miss America. So I decided to surprise her recently, and I brought her a big spray of flowers and a tiara. And I opened her door and I sang the Miss America song and asked her to come walk towards me. And I presented her with the flowers and her crown, and she was just ecstatic. The expression on her face was priceless. She kept thanking me and hugging me and said that it was a dream come true for her. And I felt in that moment that I was more blessed than she was, because I was able to fulfill a dream for her to really, truly believe that she was Miss America. Well, my journey loving senior citizens began with my grandmother, when my grandmother came to live with us when we were teenagers. And since then, my life has been intertwined with seniors, but to be honest, I think it's a little mysterious. I feel that it's a calling. There seems to be a drawing towards seniors. When I would go to a party or when I would have the opportunity to look for employment, I felt drawn to seniors. So I think that for some of us, or most of us, it's really a calling where we feel led to do this, and it's so satisfying and gratifying that it feels like the most comfortable place to be. Well, I'm passionate about loving people, and as a mom of many children, I feel like caregiving was something that took up many hours and days of my life with younger children. And I find that caregiving with seniors has some similarities. There's the nurturing quality, which is very fulfilling for me. I feel passionate about seniors because I feel God has called me to be with seniors and to love them and to see them through the end of their days on this earth. I want to welcome you to Home Instead Senior Care.